Hi, we're the Huge Movie Fanatics here in this October-y Halloween spirit and atmosphere to review.
Two weeks away from Halloween.
2 weeks away from Halloween to give you a series of movie reviews related to Halloween movies. We got some trailer reviews behind us, now we're doing the actual movies, and we're going to do a franchise review.
Just franchise review of Saw, it's not worth it.
Yeah, we're
going to split it up.
We're going to review the Saw movies.
Sorry, Saw fans. For us, we're just doing it in one.
I will start by saying this. I liked Saw. I saw Saw back in 2000. I saw Saw back in 2004, right after it hit DVD, and I liked it. I was like, huh. The twist at the end. Spoiler alert. I saw coming a mile away. I was like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if that body in the body there was the killer, and he was there all along. And then that's what happened, and I was like, great. I mean, I didn't expect it was that random cancer patient that you didn't really see in the beginning, but I assumed that that body was there for a reason. So the movie sort of lost half of the impact on me right away, just because I kind of figured out the ending. But I liked the movie because it wasn't really that graphic. You go back to it having seen the rest of the movies, which are overtly graphic. You watch that first one again, you don't see the guy cutting his leg off. You hear it, you don't see it, and that was much more impactful when he's like, "I'm doing this," and he's like all like intense and whatnot. Like it was just so much more like, oh my god, I can't believe he's doing that, as opposed to the other ones where like the girl in the second one has her hands in the box and she's trying to pull it out and it just starts peeling her skin
Which looks
back.
so dumb, by the way. It doesn't
and it's just like, come on, that's just gross. The first one was good. It's a good 3-star atmospheric horror movie with actually pretty good acting across the board, especially by the guy who you're supposed to think is the killer throughout most of the thing.
Oh yeah, I have a problem with that too, because that's what I told people who were fans of it at the time, because why is he so, I don't know, he's acting so sadistically, and I thought that was a little bit of a cheat, because
it definitely is.
In reality he'd be like,
yeah.
Like you wouldn't, so that's a bad cheat.
Yeah, it is a bad cheat, but like he performs really well when you think he's the killer. But any movie with Danny Glover is got to be kind of watchable. I mean,
except
Predator
that Gone Fishing, I got that for $3. And
we're gonna
actually traded. I got Gone Fishing for $3 half price, and I traded it in for $5 at Best Buy for Upgraded Save for Prometheus. Talk about awesome, man! So I made $2 on Gone Fishing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Continue. Anyway, so any movie with Danny Glover is kind of watchable, and I liked the first Saw movie, but there was the second one.
Wait, do I get to talk about the first one?
Oh, if you want to talk about this, we're gonna pass on.
Gee whiz, thank you. I can't really give any of the Saw movies, any higher than 1 star, because they're so nasty, they're so gross. And what I don't like about the first movie, for me, I don't like the first one the most, because it seems to be, hold that thought about 2, by the way, sorry, I just thought I could talk about it next. And it seems to be, I don't know, just more low budget. One thing, I showed my dad, over the final winter, and he ended up saying what I think as well, and they all do this, but especially the first one, is they're made, and this is my problem with that, early to mid 21st century horror, and it's just continues and continues, where it's like, and I think Saw started a lot of it, where it was this green, crappy, and it's like the image, you can look at a still from Saw, for me, and just get depressed, because it's like, not only is it the green depressing, digital color timing shit, it's the horribly depressing atmosphere, which is the point. But for me, it brings me down to the atmosphere being the bathroom or whatever the hell that is where they're in. And it's all shitty and all slimy, and I think out of all the movies, which we'll get to, it's like, and I'm not a big, the Saws just rub me the exact wrong way, because there's like no outdoor daytime, barely any outdoor daytime in the whole series. It's all indoors, it's all night, it's all shady, it's all depressing, it's all crappy. I don't like the first one, actually I like least than some of the next ones, which we'll get to. I just thought it was, I sound like Roger Ebert in Friday the 13th, but that's because it's how I feel. I just thought, when I saw it, I was just like, I thought it was stupid. And the one thing I will give it props for, and this just continues throughout the whole series, is the idea behind John and the fact that I don't think he killed anyone or whatever in the whole series. The idea behind, that idea is kind of cool behind people taking things for granted. That idea is cool, but not enough to even give it 1.5 stars for me. Just because the overall experience is so depressing for me. That's what it does.
I will say that, like, I also hate the stupid color timing bullshit that they do. But the first movie actually doesn't really do it that much. Because I've gone back and rewatched it.
But it's still just...
Like, all the stuff in the bathroom is all, like, white. It's
white
and
white.
I
can see it now. So it might have started with 2.
Yeah, the second one is where everything is yellow and freaking bright green and dark blue. And it's the filmmaker on the second one is a man I do not like. One of my best friends, Brady, absolutely loves that filmmaker. Not for the Saw movies, because he's gone on to do rock musicals. He did Repo, the genetic rock opera, which is a movie that is kind of okay, except for the look, which is just so degraded, and I hate that freaking thing. And it started, I think, with Underworld, and so I have to give a fuck you to Underworld because of that. But anyway, yeah.
You want to go to 2 now?
Yeah, we're going to move on to Saw 2.
We're going to try going quicker.
Saw 2, the one thing Saw 2, I hated the movie. It's the second worst of the entire franchise, but the one thing that Saw 2 did was it introduced John as a character. Not John as a body on the floor, as a presence, because he was a presence throughout the first one.
That's true, but
He was John a character. He was given a character, and the character is actually quite good and performed really freaking well by that actor. Who I've seen in other things, and he never plays a character quite the way he plays the killer in these movies. He's really good and sadistic, but sympathetic in a weird way. But the thing that number 2 does that I have to give it, like, I want to sock it in its jaw, is it takes a victim from the first movie and arbitrarily makes her the killer just to make you have a twist at the end, just like the first one.
Yeah.
It was the Sixth Sense syndrome, where M. Night's like, shit, I gotta come up with another. And that was exactly it. You know, the filmmaker in this one was just like, what do we do to give the twist to the audience? Oh, that's right. And then all the freaking subsequent movies do the same damn thing. They come up with some other twist.
Towards the end, that theme ends up fading in, which becomes the Saw theme. But
yeah, it's a great theme. We didn't talk about that.
Yeah. Which when you get to the third one, you're like, you can, like I say, you can hear it fading up, you know, and you know, okay, this is gonna be the big amazing ending. And sometimes, like by 6, it isn't so amazing.
Yeah, the twist ending in the second one did get me, unlike the first one. And I didn't see it coming, but that's because it's completely devoid of logic. Like, you'd think that character, like, even if she's understanding for why the killer did this. Even if she is, you wouldn't think that she would be like, you know what, I'm going to do that too.
Yeah,
especially in such disturbing ways.
I kind of enjoyed it when I was in the traps, so maybe I'll make traps.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's just completely devoid of logic. I hated the second movie. I give it 1 star. We're past 2.
I like it. Well, I don't know. I'm not gonna. Never mind. Never mind. Anyway, one thing I do like more about it than the first one. I probably like it more than the first in that. The John character is very good, and the guy who plays him was like born to play that part. Yeah. And one thing about the whole John character, especially in the second one, that as he's sitting there and he's sick, you know that, like, as a character, in reality you wouldn't, but in a character in a stupid horror movie, it's like he's got everything covered. Mm-hmm. And these pigs think they got it on him, but you know, and that's one thing that I kind of like, and you know he's got it all covered, and he's just sitting there. And he's got his son or whatever he's got, and the cop can beat him up as much as he wants, but he's got the cop's
Well, yeah,
ass.
he's so weak and so pathetic as he's sitting there sucking on his oxygen, but he's the most powerful person in that
presence
room.
in the room.
Yeah.
And that is what I like about 2. And that's the only one, that's the only one where he's actually, I mean, in the third one, he's on the bed most of the time, I think, the whole time. So that's the only thing I like about Saw 2. I hate, I mean, obviously all the characters and the the rooms and the house. And the one thing I want to know is, where is this location? Is it like the Mall of America? It's got to be the size, like all 7 movies of the Mall of America, to have all these corridors and rooms and
Yeah,
and it's just like where. So but they figure that the people, the fan base, aren't even going to care about that. But that's to move it along. I'll just say that's what I liked about the second one. That character, to finally see him as a character and to see him just, detective, I'm dying. You can't do it. And that's really great to be able to say, will you put me in a gas chamber? Or whatever. I don't know if he says that, but I'm already dead.
They have nothing on.
That's what's great about the character.
Yeah,
and for me, that's what's the only good thing about part 2.
Yeah, so moving on to number 3. 3, the one good thing going for it is it completely wraps up the story.
And it should have been a trilogy.
Yeah, it's done, it's over, and it's a decent ending. It's better than the second one. It's not as good as the first one, but it ends in the best way it can possibly end for that story that's gone on far too long. Did you say
stars for 2?
I said 1.
Oh, you did. Okay.
For 3, I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna say 2. It might deserve 2.5, but I'm gonna say 2, just because this is the one. The second one got gross. The third one got grosser. I'm thinking specifically of the naked girl getting frozen, and it's like
there was. I think the third.
And she starts like bleeding and busting, and then the guy who's getting his bones twisted and twisted.
3 might be the grossest. Then there's that scene where that politician or whoever the hell it is, he's sawing up hogs, dead hogs. And all the slops going into them.
Yeah, and
3 might be the.
The movie is actually a good movie, but it's so gross and unwatchable, and not in a that's horrifying kind of way. It's in a just why are you showing me that? Yeah,
that woman. I forgot about that woman hanging there until you said that. That's kind of gross.
Yeah, she starts her skin starts breaking apart and stuff there's no reason for that, and why was she naked? There's no. It just really bothered me. The deaths in that were just. They wanted to top what would have done before, and it was so blatant. So I'm going to give it 2 stars. It probably deserves 2.5, but no, 2 stars.
I didn't say stars for 2. That's because I think pretty much every Saw for me is 1. Because there's things about them that I like, but at the end of the day, all the torture porn shit just weighs down. That's what they exist for at the end of the day. And it permits me from going any further than a star. So I'm not going to say stars. Stars for all of them are 1, so I'm not going to say any more stars. That's what it is. I didn't talk about 3 yet. I don't have much to say. When I first saw them, I kind of thought it was the best, but then I watched them again because I got 7 really. I owned them all. I got them all for $3 a piece. Yeah. So I got 7 this year, so I wanted to rewatch them all before I watched 7, which was quite a challenge. So when I got to 3 again for recently this year, I was like, oh, that's gross, and the woman hanging there, and then the sawing the dead boars and splatting the guy. That's just gross. So that's all I have to say. It's just one thing I kind of like is that the operation thing, which is kind of creepy towards the end when he's dying and
but it's also just gross, like the sawing into the head thing and.
One thing I thought, well, I'm not talking about the actual scene, but I guess just the idea of just fighting for life and being just hopeless kind of thing. Just the idea behind it. Yeah. There's nothing to say.
And that was the last one that the original creator was involved with. He wrote the first one, and he gave the story for the second one, which I'm assuming the story was John's story, his character and whatnot, and then he actually wrote the third one. So that was the last one he had any involvement with.
One thing before I forget is I couldn't understand for the first 2 movies why there was a circular saw, like it was on the disc, and why it was even called Saw. And the first one was Hacksaw, but why was there circular saw? Yeah. So by the time you get to the third one, it's like, aha, they were planning it all the time for the trilogy. Yeah. Where it's like circular saw and then and it's like, if that should have been in 3D, the circular saw, and it's like, and that was a great end, which should have been a trilogy. Again, not a great end, but a fitting whatever.
And again, the twist on that one was that he was playing her, the killer, in the second movie all along, and I was like, seriously, that's where you're going. So moving on to 4. 4 was a little more tame than the other ones, which I kind of liked about it. It's the most tame out of all of them next to the first movie. So I kind of respect that, but it's also the first one where it's like they were really running dry on like B and C grade actors that they had to dig deep,
right.
and they also had killed off most of their franchise characters, so they had to dig even deeper and get like some of the characters who were kind of in the background in like one or two scenes in the earlier movies.
He was the janitor.
Yeah, pretty much, and that's where they really started to dig deep. And I don't know. I mean, it's another like 1.5 star kind of movie. It's better than 2. It's not as good as 3. It's certainly not as good as 1, which is the only one that I think is good. But this is also the movie where they start getting really forgettable. So I'm gonna pass it on to you.
One thing that I really like about the fourth one, which is very creepy and very well executed, is the beginning. I don't know if you remember the beginning where John's autopsy.
No, yeah.
And one thing that, you know, I thought that was done really well, and the body that obviously must have been fake looked very real.
Yeah.
And one thing about it that was so creepy for me is John was such a creepy character, mostly in the second one, because in the third one he's just laying there.
Yeah.
Is that even when he's a dead fucking corpse, you still expect him to like, you know, kill you. And the fact, and when you see him being, you see his that scene at the beginning where, you know, I'm assuming it's the unrated one I've seen, only one I've seen. So where they're autopsying him, I mean, there's something about that was creepy. It's like this guy, he's dead, but he's still he's still creepy. And he's still got some surprises in for whoever. And as you're cutting him open, you don't know if he's going to explode and kill the coroner, or, you know. There's something about John, even a dead corpse, that is creepy. The thing that I find ironic about the whole series is that there's more movies post-John than there are pre-John, which we'll get to, which is very ironic.
The other thing I will admit I like about it, came in a little bit in the third one, but you get a lot in the fourth one, is the introduction of his wife.
Yeah,
and that stuff is actually kind of good.
By the way,
heartfelt a little bit.
Yeah, that is features some of the only exterior daytime stuff. Actually, there's a little bit in part 2 when that guy's got his son on the you know, whatever.
Up until the 3D opening scene of the 7th one,
which we'll get to, and I like because it was actually different. So I don't have a lot to say about 4, other than that opening scene where John's presence, even when he's dead, they somehow make him creepy, and it's cool but ludicrous at the same time that he's got this tape in his body, and it's so dumb. But I could understand when I watched all the movies why people kept coming back to him, is because they came up with ideas that make you wanna. It's even though it's stupid, it makes you want to see what they do the next time, and that's all I have to say.
Yeah, pretty much. Like they made it seem like it was all a really well orchestrated.
When they were just flying by the
seat. And they were just like, "What can we do now?" Aha! They're like, "We can stick this in there and that," and that's basically how the whole franchise was done. All right, so then let's move on to 5. 5 is the grossest one after 3. 5 is the grossest one after 3. If only for the detective guy who's trying to figure out, and he figures out that the cop is in on it all along, and the doors are closing at the end, and then his bone just starts like popping out, and it's like, seriously, why was that necessary to show? You could have just shown him like the things coming together and just heard everything. Why in these movies do you need to show things?
Because that's the whole point of the movies.
I don't understand that. Because it's not scary, it's just gross. It's not like I'm looking at that and I'm like, oh my god, that might happen to me.
Well, there's gore hounds out there. I mean, I was, to a certain extent, when I was younger.
I like gore like the next person. I'm a huge fan of The Evil Dead. It's my number 8 movie of all time.
I guess it's just stupid. It's not our kind of gore, I guess.
I just don't get it. But the fifth one just started getting ludicrous because the cop is in on it all along, and this is how John was getting away with everything, and he was there obstructing justice from catching John all along, but they obviously have no scenes to cut back to with him like getting in the way of Danny Glover, because Danny Glover is like, I'm above this. I'm not doing number 5.
Oh, right. I did God.
Yeah, pretty much. He's like, I'm too old for this shit. It just started getting really ludicrous. And so I'm going to give that one 1 star along with the second one. But now I'm going to hand it off to you. Do you have anything to say about 5?
I can't even remember anything about it other than the beginning with that one cop who's in that box thing filled with water, and he puts the pin in his thing to survive, and the end, which you mentioned. That's all I can remember about 5.
That's basically all I remember too. I've seen it twice. That's all I remember.
I might have seen it
speaks volumes.
twice or 3 times, and that's all I can remember. Just like all the other Saws, 1 star.
So then we're moving on to the 6th one. The 6th one tried to get a little creative, and it did a little bit. It had something to say for the first time since like the 2nd movie or the 3rd movie, which was like the healthcare system at that time kind of blew.
Wait, at that time?
I mean, I think they're trying to reform it right now, or at least there's people who are trying to get something done.
Anyway, go on.
Anyway, so like at that time specifically, it was really kind of sucky balls. But yeah, the movie just still sucks, even in spite of that. And they started running out of things to do with any of the characters. Like the wife is in it for no reason really. She's just sort of there.
I think she gets a key at the end of the 5th one or something like that.
Yeah.
Which we don't even see used until the 7th.
I just remembered something from the 5th one. The 5th one had a survivor that was never shown again, and I was sure she was going to come back.
Oh.
It was Julie Benz, who was in Rambo. She was the.
Oh, that's right. I can remember.
And she
5 now. They were all going through those.
Yeah,
stupid.
The really stupid ass like little maze thing that they had to go through, and the little challenges. It felt like the end of the first Harry Potter movie, but so she survives, or she's kind of bleeding, but you're meant to think she kind of survives. And she never comes back again. It's the only time in the franchise, with the exception of the first movie, where what's the new dude from Princess Bride?
Yeah, it's him.
Yeah.
I think that's his name.
That's his name. That dude from Cary Elwes, or Eulis, or whatever his name is. But then he eventually showed back up in the 7th one. So she's the only character that was never utilized again.
Well, they probably were keeping her under wraps in case 8. You know, maybe she was the
she
10. She was going to be the
new
mastermind.
wife of.
She was going to be the mastermind behind everything. That's why she put herself through all that pain.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and the 6th one also has a cut back to the girl from the first 3 movies, because she was absent in 5, and she had like a brief scene in the 4th one. I like that chick. What's her name? Shawnee something. She was in The Blob. She was in.
Was she the little girl in the original Assault on Precinct 13?
Hey, this is regular vanilla. I wanted vanilla twist.
That
I
gets
never
shot.
saw the original one.
Oh, what?
I'm not a Carpenter fan,
Oh,
so
wow, you should see that.
I should see it though.
Fun, and she might have been. If that's the same one, she might have been in Meatballs 2, which sucks. So anyway, were you talking about?
She's an '80s star. Anyway, I like her, and so she has like a very brief appearance in the 6th one again, and I was like, yay. So that's my extent of the 6th one. I give it probably 1.5.
I'd say I like the 6th one most because of what you mentioned at the very beginning. Out of all the Saw movies, for me, it addresses something that's actually real world, valid, and that was satisfying to me, especially at the time because my dad was dying of cancer. So, and by the way, the health, never mind. Well, I'll leave that to my own personal feelings. But anyway, so I was very impressed when that, and also by the time you got to 6, for me, as far as I can remember, they started doing a way, I don't know if they did before, but 6, I don't think, for what I can remember, it doesn't have any green, it's more like orange. I kind of like how 6 looks. For me, there's no green.
It was a different filmmaker too,
yeah,
right?
I think so, because the guy did 3 movies, 2, 3,
2, 3,
4.
4.
Someone else did 5, and then someone else did
6, and somebody else did 7.
Probably, but I actually kind of like how 6 looks, and I like it the most probably because, like I say, what it has to say about the healthcare system, which is absolutely bullshit, by the way. I mean, you can have insurance and pay insurance your whole life and see stuff like that in the movie happen where the guy's like, you just killed, it's just some character, random character, something like that, you just killed me. When the guy would say.
Yeah, I really like that.
And that's real. I mean, that's how, insurance companies are. Luckily we didn't experience it firsthand, but that shit happens. And that's just like, especially when you're paying this shit for like the
Yeah.
character was for how many years
Yeah.
or decades.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, well, they can find a legal way to get out of paying and let them fucking
Yeah.
die. And
Yeah.
that's true. That's how the world is. And that's fucking, and so that's why I can probably unequivocally say I respect Saw 6 the most for that fact. And that then you have a lot of great scenes with John. One great scene, probably my favorite in the whole franchise, where he goes in with his little form and he wants to talk to his insurance guy about alternate, this other procedure that he found.
Yeah.
That's
I like that.
probably the best scene for my money in the whole Saw series.
It's the turning point. That's the moment when you
That's when
realize
you
that
see-
he goes from John the human
The
to
human.
John the killer.
To the killer.
Yeah.
And he's just so...
And you understand it. It's that Joker moment.
Yeah, I suppose. But I think that scene is also where the insurance guy's saying shit and he's like, oh, that rolled off your tongue really smooth. And he's like, oh, that rolled off your tongue even smoother. And you're just so much on John's side.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And he's so slick, or the writer who wrote him, is so slick with his return. I can't remember I should have watched that scene last night.
Yeah.
But that's it. I love that scene. Probably the best scene in the Saw franchise for me. That's the only good thing about the movie.
Yeah.
On to the last one.
The last one, which is 7. And now, here's the thing. That they build this one as the star of the first movie comes back for 7. And I was like, yay, he'll probably just be in 2 scenes and wind up being the killer at the end. That's exactly what happened. I said that as a joke when that movie was coming out. I saw the movie, he's literally in 2 scenes, he's the killer at the end and orchestrated the whole thing, and I'm just like... The franchise had run out of steam. It obviously showed in that last one, which they billed as the last movie, that they were willingly going out. Well, they were still on top of the game. It was bullshit. They had no more ideas. They had nothing fresh for years. Paranormal Activity had come out and stolen their last ounce of money, and they were just like, okay.
Well, which was the underproduced performing year? Was that the year before?
That
Yeah,
was the
6.
sixth.
That was Final Destination 3D, which actually stole...
6th one? No, it was the 4th Final Destination, because the 3rd Final Destination came out in 2006. I remember because I saw
whatever. Whichever one was...
that was the Final Destination came out opposite of it in...
Oh, yeah, right. That's the 4th one.
Yeah.
The Final Destination was the first 3D one.
Yeah.
That was the first one that took the slot and stole it from Saw 6. So then obviously the year later you have Saw 3D because they assumed that the 3D is what stole Saw.
Whatever.
Anyway, I interrupted you.
So, for my money, Saw 7 is the worst one. It has nothing valuable about it. They randomly and arbitrarily kill off John's wife for no reason in the movie. And
I can remember that dream she had. How did she really die?
Isn't that... I thought she died shortly thereafter. I can't even remember. I've seen it twice. And then they're like, we need to have stars. We'll get the star of the first one again, and we'll invite everybody to come out and join in this movie. And the best they could do was get a couple of the singers from like Linkin Park to be the other stars. Those were the guys that were glued to the seat, and they were like, I can't move, and then they just start ripping their back off.
Oh, that white trash! Was it that white trash?
Yeah.
Junkyard. That was so funny to me. I think that trap was. It was just funny.
Dumb.
It was just funny.
Like
the outcome of it, where it's like, run over her head, pull her. I can't remember what it was. 3 people died when the car left. It was a good trap. It was funny.
It was so bad. I really hated that movie.
Well, the movie
it looks different, which was because they filmed it in 3D. You can't really use those darks and stuff because it'll futz with the glasses.
Yeah.
So the movie's brighter than all the other ones,
As a result.
noticeably so. So it's the only one in the franchise that looks out of place.
I do. When I saw the trailer, I like it. Like I said before, I like the opening scene because it's like, whoa! It's like outdoors. It's in the city. It's like nothing we've really seen in a Saw trap scene before. And I actually like the scene with the bitch playing like the 2 guys, and it's like, yeah, bitch, and it's like, hey, what are you doing? Let's kill her. You know. I like the first trap scene.
It just didn't make a whole lot of sense.
No,
but,
it doesn't.
none of
But as a trap scene, I just like the fact that they put it just in the city where where the nuns can see it, and the little kids sucking, licking their whatever what they call
suckers.
No, you lick a
popsicle.
No, it's a. Anyway, a big round thing. That's-
Lollipop?
Yeah, it's a
Lollipop,
lollipop. You know,
okay,
you know, porn stars or little girls. Like, Anyway, so the nuns, the little girls licking lollipops, all get to see this trap, and I thought that was funny, and it was change. It was a change, and like I say, I like the trap, the white trash. I call it the white trash. The white trash junkyard trap scene, which just made me laugh when it ended. I can remember. I think a woman's face was under the tire. A woman gets crushed, run over. Someone gets
one
ripped.
guy gets he gets jettisoned from the car and
was
skinned alive because of
there
it.
was some third guy who died. I can't remember.
I can't remember how either.
But that was a funny trap. But Saw 7 is probably the worst one.
Yeah, it is the worst one. It is so bad. It's just it's not. Nobody was thinking when they were making it with it. They were just like, we have to end big and we'll just put everything in the kitchen sink in this movie.
I thought it
but
was
nothing made sense.
Funny how that dream with John's wife dying was like the only reason they did that is to put it in the trailer to be like, whoa, look at, and then you watch the movie and it's a dream. And then how she dies, she just trips and like hits her head on the rock. I don't remember. But since we don't remember how she died, if she died, it can't.
It wasn't a memorable death or anything like that. But yeah, it's a bogus franchise that just got more bogus as it went on. I like the first one; it had some form of relevancy, and
I'm just glad it's over.
It's over until there's the Saw remake or reboot, or another one because he's still out there. The orchestrator.
It's actually the unborn baby, the baby that they thought they lost, wasn't lost, and the baby grew
it's sort of
up.
like an It's Alive kind of thing.
Exactly. The baby grew up, made a time machine, went back, and is responsible for everything before the first movie started.
There you go.
I mean, that's all you can do. So there you go. Saw franchise review. What do you think?
That's it.
That's about all.
That's about all.
For me, 1 star apiece. They don't deserve any more than that. They're just.
Mine, if you average it up, probably is about 1.2 stars or something like that for the franchise. It's really not relevant because that last one I didn't give a review for it. I said it was the worst one. I'm going to give it a half star. So there you go.
Sounds great. Thanks for watching.